Hi everybody, Stephen Flagg here, and welcome back to Flaggcraft Mage Quest. We completed Mistcraft last episode, so the next step in our book, since we're not going to do Thaumcraft, we've completed Botania, we haven't started Ars Magica yet, and we're not too keen on going into Blood Magic yet, it means we're going to start on Witchery. But we do have an issue, we don't have anywhere to do our Witchery stuff yet, so I was thinking we're going to, because I don't really feel like doing a whole lot of thinking today, we're just going to build up an area for Thaumcraft, and we're just going to sit here and gab like we did last episode. I had a good time gabbing about all the remastered editions of all these games that have been coming out lately. Sorry, my phone just buzzed. I had to look and make sure it wasn't work calling me in. I work on a call-in basis at a nursing home. So yeah, I was thinking what we should do is just make up our area for Witchery, where we're going to do all of our work, and get everything prepped up. Next episode we'll start. We're just going to sit here and have a gab. Because, you know, I just feel like gabbing. I don't feel like doing anything other than gabbing. It just makes for a pain in the ass when I have to edit this later, because I've just gabbed, and I was like, okay, what kind of music fits with this gabbing that I'm talking about? Music sets the scene, guys. Music sets the scene. You can take the most boring thing in the world, and if you put the right music behind it, you can make it semi-exciting. If you used to watch my worst of reviews, back when I used to do that, you can check out. I've got a link in the description for that. Most of the videos are over on Dailymotion now, and I did an episode called an episode of Smallville, and it was their episode Craving with Amy Adams. And it was a terrible episode, but I did a bit in that explains how music can actually change how you view a scene, and how the acting in that was so bad and the script was so bad that they were relying too heavily on the music to set the tone, because the script itself was crap. And yeah, you can check that out if you want to check that out. So yeah, I'm guessing this area is probably going to be the best area for me to do all of the the Witchery stuff in, but I'm going to flatten the area out just a little bit, and then we're going to change our fencing as well, so that we have the fences to go around it. I need a shovel. I actually don't have a shovel. And I don't think any of my... Did I even make a shovel? I have some shovels here. They're not very good. I want more shovels. So, let me see. What kind of little known facts do I have? So, do you guys know that Captain Kirk is the ultimate Borg hunter? No? You didn't know that? Flagg, you're just making that up. Well, have any of you out there read the Shatnerverse novels? William Shatner has made, he's done 10 books. 9 of them are really good. I haven't read the last one. The 9 books comprise 3 different series. So there's 3 trilogies. And, okay, let's just tell the story here. Spoilers for those of you that haven't read the books. The first book is entitled Ashes of Eden. Now, Shatner wrote these books along with Judith and Garfield Reeves-Steves, who are some great Trek authors. Probably the best Trek authors, with the exception of Peter David, who I think is an amazing author. So in these books, the first one, Ashes of Eden, is the story of Kirk, how it's 6 months before everything that happened in Generations, where he dies, and where he supposedly dies and gets sucked into the Nexus. And he's sick of... this is going to be very random, guys. He's sick of Starfleet. He's ready to retire. Spock is already retired. Scotty's already retired, and the guy who's in charge of Starfleet is a guy who had worked with Kirk back on his first posting on a ship, and Kirk had made a decision that had this guy's girlfriend killed. So this guy now in charge of Starfleet doesn't like Kirk. So he comes to Kirk and he says, yeah, anyway, we've decided now that the Enterprise is being decommissioned, we're going to be using the Enterprise for target practice. Kirk, meanwhile, he's like, screw you, I'm getting out of Starfleet anyway. So Kirk Kirk goes home to Iowa, and he finds this half Romulan, half Klingon woman in his house. And when he finds her there, suddenly there's an attack. And, Kirk Kirk gets away, and he rescues her, and he finds out, she says, you know, they don't want you to help me. They're afraid that I'm going to get help from you, and they don't want you to help me. What she wants is Kirk. She's from a planet called Chell, and nobody knows where this planet is. That's how it stays safe, because it's kept itself hidden. But they need protection. So she also petitions Starfleet for a ship, and Starfleet will usually give decommissioned ships to planets to help for their orbital defense. She petitioned for the Enterprise. So she wants Kirk to be their orbital cop on board the Enterprise, and she's already hired Scotty to work and help set up the Enterprise. Now, of course, Starfleet took all of the mechanical stuff out of the Enterprise. It no longer has phaser banks, so they had to get they put on disruptor banks like you would see on a Klingon vessel. So it's the Enterprise, but it's revamped a little differently. So anyhow, long story short, Kirk helps these guys, and they protect, and yada yada yada, and everything goes back, and then, you know, the events of Generations happens. Come to the second book. The second book is called The Return. What happens is it shows just after the end of Generations, and Spock is there where Captain Kirk is buried. His body is I'm explaining this very quickly, guys. Like, don't think the novels are bad by the way I'm explaining it. His body is beamed away. They don't know why. They don't know what happened or who took the body. So, what happens is, he was actually beamed away by the Romulans. Now, the Romulans have been working side by side with the Borg. They have made a deal with the Borg. Now, for those of you that say, okay, now that's just stupid, if you look at the Star Trek reboot, that ship that came through, that the villain was in, that came through from the main universe, that was a Riemann mining vessel full of Borg technology. Even in the main Trek universe, the Romulans were starting to work with the Borg. So anyhow, they bring Kirk back, they fill him full of nanobots. They do not assimilate him, but they fill him full of nanobots. And that way it regenerates his body, and they start to brainwash him and make him think that Picard is the enemy. Now, this is all a side plot, and, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't want to give away. But anyhow, Kirk goes on the hunt for Picard. Now, of course, he's not going to find Picard, because Picard and Crusher are on an undercover mission to take down a Borg central plexus. Picard has a thing he can put on that makes him look like Locutus again, and so he can actually hear the collective, but he can't be sucked into the collective, and they can't hear him. So anyhow, they're away, and they've been sucked away. They are so far away from Earth that on their own power they could never get home, because they get sucked into the sphere, goes into one of those Borg transit tunnels, and takes them back to the main central plexus. Meanwhile, Kirk is hunting for Picard. So first he comes across Worf, and he kicks the living shit out of Worf. Worf doesn't know where he is. Of course, nobody knows where he is. Riker has a basic idea. Then he goes after Geordi and Data. And yes, of course, Kirk takes down Geordi and Data. And this is the first time that they start to suspect it's Kirk. But they talk to Riker. Riker's like, no, it's got to be a clone or something. We know Kirk is dead. Picard buried him himself. Like, I'd love to think it was Kirk, but whether they've cloned him or it's just an imposter. So, Spock seems to think that it might actually be Kirk. So Spock goes in and he starts an investigation on his own, where he winds up getting kidnapped by a bunch of Romulans. These Romulans sell him to the Romulans that are working with the Borg, at which point they take Spock to the same area where Picard and Crusher are, and they prepare to assimilate Spock. In the meantime, Picard and Crusher see Spock, and they assume there was somebody in Starfleet that was undercover and giving away our information. We see Spock now with them. It must be Spock. Spock as well sees Picard and Crusher and assumes Picard must have been Locutus all this time, and Picard is the one that's been doing everything. So anyhow, they try to assimilate Spock, and they don't. They stop immediately. The reason behind that, and it doesn't get explained until later, is that the V'ger probe back from the motion picture was actually from part of the Borg collective. Spock mind melded with it, which left an imprint of the collective in his mind. So according to the Borg, he has already been assimilated. So, Kirk, more or less, they take him and they explain to him what's going on, and Picard, everything gets straightened out, and they realize, we got to take down these Romulans, we got to take down the Borg. Now, Kirk is slowly dying because of these nanoprobes, and Crusher's the only one that can get them out. They have Dr. Bashir from Deep Space Nine there. Riker stole him away. And Bashir, he's like, no, I can't fucking do this. And they don't know where Crusher is. And then when Crusher finally gets there, they start to work on it. But in the end, he's still going to die because these nanoprobes, they just can't get them all out of his body. So they decide, Picard and Kirk beam down to the central plexus. I'm leaving a lot of stuff out, and they're ready to blow up the central plexus of the Borg area, which will stop. It won't kill all the Borg, but it will stop them from being able to communicate. So, because one person has to remain there, Kirk punches Picard, knocks him out, throws his communicator onto Picard, and tells the ship to beam one up. He beams Picard out of there, and Kirk pulls the switch, and boom, the Borg central plexus blows up. He's apparently dead. Come to book 3, holy crap, Kirk is still alive. But why? And you don't find out until about halfway into the book, and I'm not going to explain what happened in that book. But what happened is, Borg technically don't walk around to fix stuff. They site-to-site transport. So the second that it looked like that the reactor was going to blow up, the ship itself site-to-site transported Kirk, because it was the only thing in there, to an area where there was, Borgs that were broken down and stuff, just to get him out of there. It winds up that Kirk meets a whole bunch of Borgs that have broken away from the collective, and they're trying very hard to get all the nanoprobes out of their body and to get all of their things taken off. Kirk winds up, and because he has nanoprobes in his body, they just figure he was a reclaimed Borg as well. So Kirk spends 2 years on a planet with them, helping these other Borg get away from the collective, learning how to take things off and how to get the nanoprobes out of the body, and he's doing this with Borg. And as he says himself, he's got secrets that only the Borg know. So, hence, at this point, in the Shatnerverse, which isn't canon with the main universe, but it is canon with most everything other than the main universe, in the Shatnerverse, Captain Kirk is the ultimate Borg hunter and Borg killer. Got it? Okay, that's all we're going to talk about today. We're done. So we've made our area over here. We're going to re-fence it off, and I'm going to get some stairs down there, and that's where we're going to start Witchery next time. Right down in there. That will be our Witchery area. I don't think it needs to be covered. So anyhow, for those of you that really want to, go and check out those books. I just told you the first of the trilogy. The second trilogy takes place. You got to remember these books were written before the series Voyager ended. The Enterprise winds up going out, and they get a distress call, and it's Voyager. And they're like, holy crap, the Voyager is home! And Tom Paris is on there, and he's like, there's only 20 of us left, we need to beam over. Winds up, it's not the Voyager, it was the Mirror Universe people that constructed a ship that looked like Voyager, and put the people who were on Voyager's crew on board that ship, so it would look like Voyager, and they kidnapped the Enterprise. In the meantime, the Mirror Universe Spock is looking for Kirk of this universe, because Kirk of this universe, if you remember the Mirror episode of the original series, Kirk talked to the Mirror Universe Spock and told him, you can make things better, you just need to fight. Well, that's exactly what the Mirror Universe Spock did, and it fucked everything up. Earth, Vulcan, they are just decimated. The Klingons and the Romulans have joined together, and they just took over everything. And it was all because of the Kirk from that universe that messed everything up. Now, he's dead, so they need the Kirk from the main universe to come in and pretend to be the other Kirk and help fix things up. Now that's the second series, guys. The third series, the third trilogy, is basically they're standalone books. That is Kirk and Picard, best buddies. That's basically what it is. It's Kirk and Picard, hey, let's go hang out and do this. And find adventures along the way. And they're actually very entertaining books. So anyhow, guys, yeah, you guys should check those series out if you read. If not, listen to the audiobooks. William Shatner reads them, and it's actually really funny because instead of Cardassian, he says Kardashian a lot of times. He doesn't say tachyon, he says tachyon. He doesn't say Dabo, or Dabo, he says Dabo. it's like really funny. But anyhow, guys, yeah, that's about it. Sorry this was a Gabby episode, but I hope I at least let you know some interesting stuff and some books you could check out. So when you come back next time, we are going to start on Witchery, guys, and I'm actually excited about that because it's something new. And remember to check out my other series. We're playing Star Trek Elite Force 2, which is a lot of fun. I'm trying to roleplay it as much as I can. I have to keep going back and re-editing because it's a bit of a pain in the ass. I've got it looking as good as I can on modern PCs. But anyhow, guys, thanks a lot for stopping in. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe. This is Stephen Flagg. Check you later.